You can't sleep, the reason you're not making gains, the reason you wake up full of dread every single morning, the reason your emotional drain is just at an all-time high in your day-to-day at work, in the gym, in your relationships, is because you have terrible sleep. The reason you have terrible sleep is because you're slamming pre-workout or energy drinks too late in the day. Guys, this is a mistake that so many people are making. This is something that totally changed my testosterone, my sleep, and everything about my fitness and my clients' fitness, many of which have the same exact problem, where it's normalized for us to take pre-workouts, normalized for us to have an energy drink before the gym, right? And that's not the issue in itself, right? Those aren't, Monster Energy, the white sugar-free Monster that, everybody working out, or your sugar-free Red Bull, or your pre-workout even from, Gorilla Mind or whatever you like to do. That in itself is not the devil, right? The issue is the timing, because most people don't know the quarter life and half-life of caffeine. So quarter life and half-life is how long something is going to stay in our body. The quarter life and half-life of caffeine are hours and hours down the way. So depending on the type of caffeine and the source and all these things, 50% of the caffeine that you consume is still in your body 4 to 6 hours later, and up to 10 to 12 hours later, a quarter of that caffeine is still in your body. So if you're working out at 6 p.m., because you work at 8 to 5 like most people, and you're slamming a white Monster, not even slamming, you're sipping a white Monster to work out, right? 200 milligrams of caffeine, sugar-free, good for you. But that 200 milligrams of caffeine at 6 p.m., right? You're drinking that from 6 to 8 p.m. as you hit your workout. From 8 to 12, right? Or 8 to 2 a.m., 8 to midnight or 8 to 2 a.m., that would be the half-life. So 100 milligrams of that caffeine is still in you as if you just consumed it at midnight, right? And you worked out at 6. So you're probably trying to go to sleep at 10, 11, or 12-ish, right? If you get out of the gym at 8-ish. So 100 milligrams of caffeine as you're trying to go to bed is telling your brain, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake, don't feel tired, stay alert, right? And the quarter life, right? So if you do 200 milligrams of that white Monster energy drink, 50 milligrams of that is still in your system at 2, 4, 6 a.m., right? If you took it at 6, right? 10 to 12 hours later, 50 milligrams of caffeine as if you just consumed it. Now, while you're sleeping, right, is telling your brain to have less productive sleep, less REM sleep, preventing you from getting into deep sleep where your body's fighting cancer cells, where your body's fighting disease, where your body's producing hormones, testosterone and estrogen and progesterone and all these hormones and every other hormone, insulin, everything that's vital for the next day, repairing brain cells, all these things, mitochondria function. All of these things are suffering because you have caffeine in your body that you consumed at 6 p.m. after work. And again, guys, this is a very small example. This is a white Monster 0-calorie energy example, which I love and many people love, at 6 p.m., which is 200 milligrams of caffeine. This doesn't take into account the caffeine that you had throughout the rest of the day, right? How many people have a couple cups of coffee to start the day? How many people are sipping energy or even diet soda? Another thing I love, not the devil by any means, but there's usually 50 to 70 milligrams of caffeine in any one can of diet soda. I've had 2 to 3 a day for years, right? It's not most days, right? It's not the devil. It's not going to cause cancer, right? Aspartame, sucralose, these things do have effects, but that's another video. So anyway, another example, right? So you got coffee, you got diet soda, you got teas, you got all these things that come with caffeine. So stack all that throughout your day, and then you're going to hit the gym. You're absolutely drained because your adrenals and caffeine, all these things that are pulling on, that are pulling artificially on your energy receptors and energy factors in our body. You're just drained, right? Nothing is working optimally in terms of brain function and alertness and energy and hormone production because our brain is just zapped with all this caffeine throughout the day. And so imagine if that example now becomes a 300 milligram scoop of pre-workout from Gorilla Mind or whatever. I've never used pre-workout, so I don't even have the examples to tell you, but obviously it's normalized, right? I'm gonna lift heavy, I need something, right? Boom, dry scoop, right? All the lifting culture around pre-workout. Imagine if now you got 300 milligrams of caffeine. So all those examples just up, right? Now you have 150 milligrams of caffeine at midnight in you, right? And the caffeine isn't going to prevent you from falling asleep, right? Or else we'd all be wired 24/7. It'll let you fall asleep, but it's going to make it harder to fall asleep. And then while you're asleep, it's going to prevent you from getting into REM and deep sleep at the levels of optimal hormone production, which is going to then drain you in the next day, minimize your hormone production, cause all sorts of issues, higher risk of disease, and all the issues that come with less optimal sleep, less quality sleep. So And then you get to the crazy examples, right? Where people are just drinking caffeine all day and then 300 milligram scoop pre-workout, 400 milligram. Now they're making crazy, maybe a bucked up that they sell at the gym, which is 300 milligrams of caffeine, or a C4, 300 milligrams of caffeine. And then you're having 1,500 milligrams of caffeine in a day, right? I mean, you're just ruining so many natural processes in your body and all that, not to mention the artificial things, again, like diet soda, artificial sweeteners and the chemicals in those drinks do have effects that aren't great. That's another issue. But just on the caffeine part, right? So many people are drinking more than 1,000 milligrams of caffeine a day, 1,500 milligrams of caffeine a day. And the timing, the later in the day is the real issue, because now it puts you in this vicious cycle of, I wake up feeling tired, drained, right? Sleepy, right? Exhausted even, right? I got to pull through the day. And so I need a coffee. And then here we go. Artificial energy is happening, right? And our tired receptors are turned off. So we're getting through the day, but then we eat at lunch and we eat more than we should. We have some carbs. So now we're tanked, right? And now we're in that rest and digest stage, but I still got 4 hours on my shift. Boom. Now here's a white monster to wash it down. Artificial receptors, right? The adrenals are getting drained. All these things are happening. And then, but I got to hit the gym. And kudos to the people that have the willpower to drive through this, because this is a pretty terrible existence, which I felt and many people are feeling every day. And it does take a level of willpower to push through this. So kudos to that element, but it shouldn't take that, right? Because if you just had great sleep, you would feel alert and great and excited to train. But now I got to go to the gym and I'm fried and I'm tired and I had terrible sleep and I ate too much and now all these things. And I've already had 600 milligrams of caffeine, but I got to get through this workout, pre-workout, white monster, Red Bull, sugar-free, whatever, gets me through the workout. But then now, right, I've had 1,500 milligrams before bed, in the day. And I'm going to have terrible sleep. So it's this vicious cycle, because then that bad sleep caused you to wake up even more exhausted and do it all again, right? And so many people are living in this vicious cycle. And so that's why one of the first things I do with my clients is I ask them about their caffeine consumption. I don't reduce it by any means. I encourage diet sodas. I encourage energy drinks, and some are better than others. And, I have parameters for that. But that's what I consume, right? I'm not pure organic. I'm not chemical free. I'm by any means, right? It's 2025. I mean, we have to make our trade-off somewhere, right? So, but I definitely make them aware of the timing and the effects. And once that sleep schedule gets optimized, you wake up alert, you wake up excited. You're not waking up full of dread and exhausted, right? Plus coffee first thing in the morning actually doesn't hit the receptors. So that's a whole nother issue, because most people are consuming coffee before it even has an effect on your brain receptors, but the caffeine still has the negative effect. So you're not getting the energy. It's just a placebo. Don't talk to me till I've had my coffee. That's a placebo. And Andrew Huberman popularized this science. But adenosine, I believe is what it is. Our adenosine receptors aren't awake until 90 minutes after waking up. So most people slam their coffee 15, 20, 30 minutes after waking up, or even the first hour on the way to work or whatever, and it's not doing anything. The caffeine is not having an effect positively on alertness, but it is having an effect in terms of zapping your nervous system, anxiety, jitters, and all the negative effects. That's a whole nother video. So let's go. All right. Optimize sleep, improve your caffeine consumption, timing. Don't cut it by any means. Enjoy your caffeine. I love my caffeine. I got some caffeine right here. I'm about to hit the gym, but control your timing. Hope this video is useful. Guys, I'm hyped because I had a small epiphany of all these things going on, building my marketing agency. I got my marketing career, I'm making music, building my music career, and then obviously personal training, online training, fitness, all online training now, but my fitness business. These are all things that I'm fired up about. These are things that I'm excited to build, and I do build every single day, and I want to keep building. And I struggle not with time investment. I get everything done every day because we hustle, but channels, right? Like, man, is my YouTube music, what's the most viral, and do I mix things? And I just realized personal brand is personal, right? And I am the niche, and all these ideas and isms for anybody that's a content creator, all these isms about you are the niche, right? Joe Rogan is aliens, but he's UFC, but he's comedy, but he's all these things. And that is the niche. He has 10 niches, but he is the niche of Joe Rogan. So this YouTube channel is going to be everything. I'm going to do just fitness videos like this. I'm going to do just music videos. I'm going to do vlogs. I'm going to do build an empire series, business, real estate, anything I want to share that I think can be useful to somebody else will be here, useful or entertaining or both, right? So shout out to everybody that's been following me through all the things I do, however you found me. Shout out to everybody that subscribed, that likes, that comments, that listens to my music, that's been a client of mine, that gets help from my fitness. I'm super excited about the end of 2025 into 2026. It's gonna be the best year of our lives. I hope you're crushing whatever you're doing. I hope you're chasing your dreams and building your vehicles for purpose in this life. And I'm so excited to be back. And not that I didn't go anywhere, but it's been a couple weeks since I dropped a YouTube video. So this new chapter is upon us. So like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Measure your caffeine. Let's go.